Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Clandestino Podcast. Today we've got some ciders and a port that we're going to be trying. Also, my friend Ian brought the beer that he wasn't pretty happy last time. So, redemption is called it?
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, that's what we're going to get today. Before, you should say something to our viewers.
Well, put me on the spot, man. Thanks for coming out, guys. It makes me so happy to be invited out and to start seeing our numbers going up on this. I'm if it's the kind of thing you like seeing, let us know. Give us a like.
That's important. Leave a comment. There's like, as a matter of fact, I want to thank every single one of them. The guys that we tried their beers, every single one of them actually comment and tell us all the questions we actually asked during the last podcast, which was pretty cool. I really like that part that people were like, that means they're watching it. Maybe they know my watching it live streaming, but they go into the Clandestino channel and they basically rewatch it there, or they watch it for first time, or whatever you want to call it. Anyways, should we start with this one?
Sure.
All right. But before that, remember, subscribe to the channel, and very important, get the little notification bell. So every time we're in a live streaming, you kind of gonna know. The YouTube is gonna tell you, oh, those guys are live now. Let's watch these dumbasses and see what they're talking about. Okay, let's start. He brought a whole freaking growler.
I mostly don't have smaller bottles.
That's a good excuse. Hey, we got one. Hello, whoever you are. Thank you for tuning. Oh, by the way, remember that friend told me that we should rinse our glasses?
Yeah.
He almost got me. I was reading the comments, and one guy posted, that excellent idea that your friend has, he actually paid off, because as soon as you rinse the glasses and you mention it, boom, we got someone from New Zealand.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, something cheesy here. So I read who wrote that. It was him. It was him. So okay. If you see that comment, it was him. Smell like coffee? A little bit? Yeah, I got a little bit of a coffee. You didn't pour any coffee, right?
So actually, I'm gonna get you to drink some of it, and then we'll talk about it, and then I'll say the process. Right? Is that better? Then there's no bias.
Okay. I just think I would say strong, but no overpowered coffee.
Yeah.
It's quite a little odd to drink something that tastes like coffee and is this color. It's kind of weird in my head. Anyways, most of the beers that they normally have these flavors tend to be dark.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a white stout. I understand that part. But then the other thing that surprised me too, most of the beers that it contain some coffee on it, or they add coffee to it, they tend to be porters.
Mm-hmm.
Which porter stout is technically the same thing.
I mean, a stout started as a strong porter, and now often we end up with stouts are the lower, because like you get things like your Irish stouts and whatever that are 4.5%, 4.3%, and your porter tends to be higher ABV, but that just goes to show you just how blurry the line in between the two is.
That's true. And also, the story that I know is actually, it didn't have to be anything to be with the color of the beer when they used to call it stouts. What I read, they said strong beers they would used to call it stouts. That's what in so many places that they're really old, or you see old pictures, they say ales and stouts. When they mean stouts, they mean the strong beer and ales. But most of the time, strong beers, they used to be blacks. And that's how it started going with that direction to be like, call it a stout now and the black beer. Stout
Yeah,
and
that makes
porter to
sense.
me is almost the same beer. Like it's not much different.
I usually expect more body in a stout than I do in a porter, but
But then you have that dry stout from Iris that is like the body super, super dry.
yeah, but again, like I say, I feel like a lot of things that are labeled a porter versus a stout or the other way around, I would label the other way around, and maybe that's because I'm wrong.
Or maybe because you like to do things different.
Well, I do occasionally, because I made this like quite clear beer, right? Like I can see through your workbench out through it.
Yeah, it's super nice beer. Like,
And there's like 10% a lightly smoked malt in there.
Okay.
And there's a dry hop with whole coffee beans.
Okay.
And with cacao nibs.
Okay. All right. So that makes sense.
So if you really think about the smoke while you like take a sip, you can get a little hint of it, but I think it mostly ties in with the coffee and you think it's just coffee.
Yeah. Like it's not like I said like super strong, but it's strong enough, the coffee. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't like more coffee in my beer. That's my point.
No. And I think maybe I should, if I do a second batch of this, I'll dial back the coffee slightly and I'll bump up the cacao nibs because I don't feel like I got quite as much out of that as I wanted to.
But you know what? I can feel a little bit of the how can I call it bitterness from the chocolate, like from the coconuts. Because first of all, when people think in chocolate, they think in sweet.
Right.
And this type of chocolate that I'm tasting is not gonna be sweet at all because you actually put in cocoa.
Yeah.
Right. So so
I didn't want that excess sweetness, and I didn't want it to just, even if I did, it would probably just ferment out. Right.
What if I tell you the Aztecs used to have the emperors call it?
Sure.
Or the leader,
the emperor. Yeah.
Yeah. His drink, it was a kind of like a cocoa with coffee and a pepper on it.
That sounds pretty delicious.
I don't know.
That's what I mean.
I don't know.
Hot peppers and chocolate go together, and chocolate and coffee go together.
Maybe
I think all that sounds like that could totally work.
Maybe I got that little thing. When I was a kid, Mom used to make smoothies.
Yeah.
Put chocolate on it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, banana smoothie with like chocolate on it.
Sure.
It will use the same freaking blender that she used to make the salsas. So that freaking thing was fucking spicy when I was a kid. Drinking those things, they always have that little.
Put off from it at an early age. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So I had that memory, like being a kid, having your like something that you think is gonna be nice and sweet. And then like, sweet and why is it spicy?
It burns.
It wasn't that spicy and it burns, but it was spicy. And I'm pretty sure
maybe it wasn't that spicy for you, but like, as a white kid, like it would have really hit me.
But if it's anyone like watch this and is like Mexican or like in South America or anyone that is, you guys eat salsa as well with peppers and kind of stuff, I'm pretty sure they're all familiar. They experience these things at least once.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's not a problem if they use the glass one. The problem is they use the plastic one.
Oh, and
it's always scary. And this is the whole freaking reason why I don't like fucking plastic fermenters, because all this experience with the fucking blender as a kid.
It makes perfect sense. You know, like I don't know how many times I've had like leftovers come out of the fridge and they're in a plastic piece of Tupperware or, you know, something like that. And then you eat and then that color is still in there.
Oh yeah. Right? You put pasta in one of those Tupperwares? To work?
That sauce is always in it.
Yeah. Even if you put it in the dishwasher, that it gets really hot in there.
Yeah.
Still gotta be red. Right. It's never gonna take that color away.
Throw that piece of Tupperware away the first time you use it with pasta? No. You just keep on using it. And doesn't your fermenter do the same thing?
Another thing it does that is the iodine. You get that iodine anywhere. Like those Start like the starts and actually I got one here. It's actually for it's like the same company that starts the Starson.
Oh, that idle for.
Yeah. You get that thing in plastic, you never get that fucking color off.
No, yeah, you won't.
No way. Like you can actually see it in here. There's no way you get that colored off. And I heard that some people actually stain their stainless steel.
Really?
The stainless steel, yeah, with that thing. If you do the perfect,
One
like,
more reason not to fear the foam.
Exactly.
Use Star Sand instead. There you go.
And the reason why I buy this, it was because what he told me, like what he just said. I was having like no problem, but I was always like saying like fucking Star Sand, I hate it. It's always like leave a lot of fucking foam. Sounds like almost look like it's like a soap on it. But it's nothing wrong with it. It's actually help you to prevent oxidation. But I wanted to get something more clear, so I get these things, which is this is what Moon Underwater use.
Right.
Apparently, it's cheaper.
Sure. I mean,
but talking to Brian,
what's your price per pint of sanitizer?
I know.
I
know, but you know what? Like that's something the Mexican will complain more, and like in my Spanish channel or people from South America is Starson. They say like, man, it's so fucking expensive.
Right, but if you don't sanitize things, if you don't have proper sanitation, you end up with beers that right, like all of you guys
watch the last podcast at the very end and you will know what he means.
All of you guys in the Advent exchange, if your beer was turned out as crap, send me a message and I will replace that beer with another beer. What I think happened is I was in a rush. Like I started that beer.
I know you were in a rush.
I started that beer like 8 or 10 days before the exchange.
Not just that. I remember the day you went to go into exchange or the day before, you were asking for bottles on the group.
Yeah, I didn't have any bottles. I bottled it like the afternoon that I was going to the exchange. So I was in a rush. I picked up bottles from another guy the night before, I think. But, you know, like I gave him a quick rinse and they looked good. And I gave him a shot of sanitizer, Star Sand with the thing. And I wasn't super careful. I was more worried about getting my labels on it and getting to the guy's house than I was about doing a good job. I
would say
don't do that, guys.
I will
take your time and be careful. Make sure the Star Sand has 2 minutes of contact with the glass before you dump it out. Make sure you wash the thing properly before you start doing that. Anything that's left in there, the Star Sand can't kill chunky.
The Star Sand will kill anything on the bottle if the bottle is clean. But if the bottle has solids, like solid material in there, it's not going to happen.
And anything that you can see on there that doesn't just wipe away with your finger, that's solid. So it doesn't take much. And I mean, it's used to living in a brewery. Like there's a good chance that there's microbes on there. So, you know, word to the wise.
Also, I will say, if you're a brewer or you started brewing, keep in mind that the first rule of brewing, for me, or what you have to pay more attention and learn more than anything, cleaning. Yeah. It's all about sanitation, cleaning, and sterilization. Like every single thing, sanitize is not the same that sterilize. They're completely two different things. Sterilizing will kill completely everything, and sanitize will kill things that might affect your beer. Just remember one thing: your beer has alcohol, and that will help you. But it doesn't mean it will be no problem just to put it into a dirty fucking bottle. But it will help.
As the example that we
exactly. That's why, for example, when you start fermenting your beer, that's the more critical part. Everything has to be super clean when you do that. Once the yeast start and you get basically alcohol into it, the risk is less, but still, if you don't clean, you fuck it up. What I mean is like if you open the fermenter, once it's finished, if it gets a little bit of wild yeast in there, it's not going to do anything. But if your fermentation hasn't even started yet, and you open that things, and then that wild yeast get in there, it might change the flavor. Yeah, it's just like simple as that. It's just not very
I
complicated.
mean, that's how people do a wild ferment, right?
That's how like
Just leave the lid open and see what gets in, see what happens.
lambics. That's exactly what Brussels. What's the name of that place? On when the actually lambics are created.
Oh, Brussels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So Brussels, that's an area where like they open the fermenter, leave the wild yeast land into their their worth and let it ferment. That's how they do it. And if you want to do lambic, there are, for example, places like YG's. You can buy a strain, but it's a mix of Brettanomyces and Saccharomyces. And this is how they do it. The benefit is, or the good thing is, that things comes up naturally there.
Well, there's some really neat things that they do for that to encourage it too. Like you can do just a wild ferment from your carboy with the neck open, but when it's only this big around, the chance of that yeast cell coming in and landing directly in it are actually fairly low, right? But they have these big things. I think they call them a cool chip, right?
Yep, something like that. Yeah,
and they'll be fairly shallow, but big, wide,
like a
tanks.
big box, like a picture, like a box out of a stainless steel, like a big box, and that's how they do it.
And they'll do that, and they'll be open, and all the steam coming off the beer because it's cooling, right? Because they at that point, I think they're doing no chill, right? And so all that steam comes off, and it comes through the rafters and the cobwebs and everything up above, and it forms condensation, and it drips back down into the cool chip. And they've done some testing, and they find that there's a big tendency for a lot of these strains to live in the cobwebs and stuff around in the rafters. It's super cool.
It is super cool. Like, just to know. Also, I've seen places where they do it, and it's a room that nobody goes there. Just the brewers go there. Just the one that knows what the fuck is going on there.
Because you don't want to get a bad infection into the room, right?
And exactly. And going into those rooms is actually, it's not going to be like a super dangerous, but just keep in mind that those rooms might be full of CO2. It might be full of CO2. So it's better to walk low those things, or keep, like, if it's too much, like, that's why is just people that know. This is the one that needs to go into those rooms. By the way, we broke a record. 3 people watching.
Oh, awesome.
We never got 3. The first freaking time that we had 3.
Wicked. And this is still early.
Yeah, so. It's only 18 minutes. And we haven't even tried a beer. We're still in your beer.
Oh, wow.
We're still like, we only have 2 now.
You jinxed it. Hold on. No, I can get
in my phone, and now we're like, we can be 4. We're not cheating this way.
Okay.
We could, but we're not. Yeah, so what I want you guys to understand is we can't be talking about the beer we're drinking the whole time. So that's why we're talking some other random stuff about beer. That's the whole thing. That's what is
other beer stuff.
That's what is a beer podcast. I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
So chug it and go for the cider.
Yeah.
Oh, what should we go for? Cider?
I think the cider. There's 2 ciders there. Let me just double check what the name of the guy that brought them was.
Mustu Crabapple Spontaneous. The only time I hear the Crabapple is with the teacher on The Simpsons.
From The Simpsons. But that's
Crabapple.
Mrs. Crabapple, not Crabapple.
Oh, okay.
I think. Isn't it? Can our 2 viewers
let us know if it's Crabapple or...
Yeah.
Can I get the water?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
We got to rinse this because...
Yeah.
We actually follow the feedbacks. Oh, somebody's banging his car.
So
here's some woofer. So
the Mezcal cider there, the other one, was brought in by Angus Todd. It's a 2020 King / State Fair cider with mezcal. I presume he's the same guy that submitted the mezcal cider as well. The labeling looks like it's very much like
Yes, it looks
like
like the same,
like it's
the
the
same
same
label,
style.
the same style. I mean, what I mean is like the size of the paper is the exact same, and it looks like the same type of paper. But obviously,
and the caps are the same, so it's plausible these are both the same guy. I don't know who brought the porter in at all, or the port. So, maybe we can, if you guys watch this and these are your cider or your port, like, tell us in the comments.
So we got Moss to Crab Apple.
Yeah, let's do the Moss to Crab Apple. Spontaneous. That should be kind of exciting.
Bottle condition.
Yeah. Okay.
Guess it was upside down. Oh, it looks like a really nice cider though. Look at the bubbles are like cider's bubble.
Yeah. Really good carbonation in this.
Well, cider to me, it needs to go like super carbonated.
Yeah,
like 3 volumes at least.
I can't disagree with that. I feel like it really should be.
The only thing
as well.
for doing bottle conditioning to this, cider is supposed to be nice and clear like yours, and the one I just poured that, you just bring it all exactly. Up. I just brought the lid of the sediments.
It might just be that you're shit at pouring beer from bottles with sediment. I know I am, right? Like I am terrible at that. Every time I go and pour a beer, like I get, especially these 650s, right? You get a glass and then like a bit, right? So I pour that first glass and I like it. And then I come down and I'm like, oh, well, I'll just top it up. And then I just pour in all the dregs. And I feel guilty from doing it because I feel like I just ruined their beer by dumping in all the dregs.
I'm going to say something. I don't drink bottles more very often. Hey, we got 3 again. We don't drink bottles very often. Mm-hmm. Most of it is tap. I mean, it makes no sense to be bottling if I got my kegerator, right? Like it makes no sense. The only time when I keg is, or when I bottle is when I'm gonna keep beers away, but I bottle direct from my keg, which is no sediments.
Right, and I do the same thing. That's part of why I'm crap at it. Like I guess it's just a skill I've never had the need to develop, because most of the time I end up with beers that are bottle conditioned. It's through an advent calendar or something like this, and like you just go, oh, whoops, I forgot how to do that.
And I gotta be honest, it's only one beer that I like to buy, because I gotta be honest, I love it, the beer, and I quite love make the beer, but it's still a pain in the butt. Hefeweizen. By the way I do it, to decoction, things like that, it gets like a long brew day, but the result is nice. Mm-hmm. So I don't brew it too much, and normally put it in keg, which is very upsetting for me because the beginning of the keg is really nice and cloudy. So that cloudiness you want for the Hefeweizen, but everything eventually is going to settle. If you got it in your fridge, it's going to cold crash.
You know that you can just flip that keg upside down.
I know. But what I'm going to do next time, I'm going to bottle the whole fucking keg.
And then just
I'm going to put exactly. I'm going to do what you're supposed to do with a Hefeweizen, which is, first of all, a Hefeweizen is storage this way. Doesn't storage this way, storage this way. A little bit tip, just like a wine, like a red wine or any wine, just you want to keep basically the cork moist, right? So they still like big. So you tip it a little bit like this. So when you grab it to actually drink it, this is what happened. But the problem, if you do it like this, you get a
cake like, right there.
Exactly. So you do it. So you keep it in here, into that little.
And then as you flip it up, it pours in, and
it clouds the whole thing.
It self mixes.
Exactly. So when you pour it and you have about like that much left, you do the classic
Swirl.
But because you want that in your beer,
Yeah.
we have to understand hef mean yeast, Weizen mean wheat. So that's a beer that is actually telling you that you have to drink the yeast. Probiotic, which it is. So you drink a lot of those things, you will be pooping the next day a lot. Cleaning your system, let's call it.
Then it's good for you. It's like going to yoga class.
Yeah.
Just
wow, that's
just
good.
like slightly tart,
just like you wanted,
right? Like very dry.
Yeah, it must be like at least 10.06. It feels really dry.
Yeah.
You know what? I made a mistake with a cider last year. I normally make one cider a year.
Okay.
Because I like it not too much. I like to have one keg there and pour it. Visiting comes home and they want to try some cider. It's very common, right? Anyways, the first year I used champagne yeast.
Okay.
Actually, you gave me that yeast.
Oh, okay.
I was like looking and use Victoria and Brewvik, and I said, like, hey, anybody has like some yeast? Except everything was closed, and you said, hey, I got one. So I went and grabbed it from you. That was delicious. It was cranberry apple.
Okay.
Because cranberry brings the acidity that I was looking for.
Yeah, and a little bit of tannins.
So it was pretty good.
That sounds like it would be pretty good.
It was pretty good. That one turns out really good. I tried to do next year. I did the exact same thing by the exact same brand of juice and everything. But I went to Hamilton Hub was closed, so I went to another one.
Yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about? The same street, but just a little bit further.
Yeah.
They're awesome. Those guys are amazing. I never buy anything from them because every time I go there, they give it to me for free. They're amazing. They're awesome. But when I go, I'm asking for, like, for example, finance. No, we don't have the gelatin. We don't have the isinglass. But you know what? I do a lot of wine. I got those things. Like, I got tons of them. You can have them. So they gave me like those little packages that you put one and then put the other one. It's the same thing that isinglass.
Oh, okay.
But like you put like one little bag of like a kind of like a liquid, kind of like gel kind of looking thing. And then the other one, and that basically do the fining. They gave me like 10 and 10.
Oh, wow.
They're like, oh, thank you. I use gelatin. Gelatin works way better. So I keep working with gelatin. I got those things.
I just get my gelatin at the grocery store.
Me too. Knox is the brand.
Yeah, Knox brand. If you buy the no-name brand stuff or out of the bulk bin, I don't find it works the same.
I like Knox. Like Knox works fine for me.
It might just be that the Knox is fresh, right? Because they cycle through more. Because I went to get it from the bulk bin at the store, and you had to kind of break the crust with the scoop, and you're like, I don't know about this, right?
So, anyways, I went in and asked if they got any like cider yeast, and they gave me the yeast for free.
Yeah, well, that's
but cool. It was a little envelope, like a little baggie like this, all white, and it just had like cider yeast grow on it. No growth like print on it, and I use it. Man, it works fine, but it's the sweetest shit I ever had. And then I asked like Shane from Hamilton Hops, and he told me like, you could have asked me, man, those things is just fucking sugar. Like that thing is just like to make it sweet as fuck.
Yeah, that's not.
It's just like it's just to make it like super super sweet. And it like I add like probably like 5 grams of it. How's it call it? The acid thing that they buy at like citric acid.
Oh yeah,
it did not do anything, and it was only 5-gallon keg. Like 5 grams, that's quite a lot.
Yeah. Well, I don't do a whole lot of cider. Like you, I basically always do a batch every year, but because I don't drink a lot of cider, it ends up just sitting on the keg and sitting and sitting and sitting for a long time until I've had more of the girls buy. The girls like cider more than the guys do. As a generalization, don't attack me in the comments, please.
I I guess the solution would be invite more ladies.
Yeah. I don't know why they're not at my house anyway. But I think, like, I find that if even better than the champagne yeast, like I think that one I gave you was the 1118.
Yep, I think so. Yeah, that's gray color, right?
Yeah,
with a little circle.
Lallemand.
Yeah, I think it's Lallemand. Yes, that's right.
It's really good yeast for what it is. I find that doesn't give enough yeast character. A lot of people, like, that's the reason why they use it, right? But the last couple years, what I've really enjoyed is doing using a saison yeast, like a French saison or something. It gives you a little bit of phenolics and things like that obviously complement fruit flavors. I think if you want to bump up, like if you're doing a basic cider like I am, like I'm doing like apple juice from the Sunripe carton, and
that's what I do too,
and a little bit of something that's giving it flavor, like some raspberry or blueberry or a fruit, toss it in there, bump it up. It's not quality stuff like this. Like, actually, this is really good cider.
It is really good, man.
I wish I knew cider well enough to like properly speak to this.
Me too. But this is a cider that I will buy. Like if it's like I tried like home brews like cider, and like especially mine.
Yeah.
And it's not even near to this. Like
no.
this guy knows his fucking shit.
Yeah. Whatever he's doing, he knows what he's doing. And like, I find there's a tendency with cider to really end up with something that finishes super high gravity. So you're ending up at like 1.020 or something, or 1.6 or something like that. And it's so sweet, and I can't do it.
Yeah, for me, cider has to be super dry, like super dry.
If it's super dry, I really enjoy it, and this is quite dry. I like it when it gives you just that little bit of pucker factor in your mouth, because like it just dries it right out. I find that does everything that makes it good.
Like, even label is good. Like,
oh yeah. Does it say on there no percentage or anything?
No information whatsoever. So only said like
it's a beautiful label.
Crab apple, spontaneous fermentation cider. I don't know what he means with spontaneous.
Well, I think that means...
Sorry. It says spontaneous.
No, it says spontaneous. SPON.
Okay.
Spoon would be OON.
Okay, I'm fucking up. Spanish is my first language, okay? So, and expontaneous in Spanish is spelled with E. An X.
Oh, yeah, but because you have to add an E to the beginning of everything in Spanish, right?
Sometimes.
As Spanish is that way.
Espanol.
You see what I'm saying? But if it says it's a spontaneous ferment or spontaneous cider, spontaneous fermentation cider, to me that says that it's a wild ferment. Like they had an open carb, and that's risky. Like we were already saying earlier.
I hardly doubt it, and if it's that reason, man, you are my idol. Please leave us a comment, because I'm very interested into this, and I want to know who you are, because also I might ask you some question for my new ciders. I really like your cider, man. Like that's a really good cider.
If this is just boom, like I leave the thing open, do you maintain these yeasts? Like, do you keep them for year to year? Because that sounds awesome.
Yeah, like that's.
There's so
being
much...
honest, like this is a winner, man. Like you can put that in a competition. It's good. Yeah. You will do good. Like, I got something to say on the label in the next one, but I gotta wait.
Okay.
And the whole reason why I have something to say is because it's mezcal on it. And from Mexico, that's where the mezcal come from.
Mm-hmm. So
You know what the difference between mezcal and tequila?
I did when I was on a tour of a distillery in Mexico, but
You were too drunk to remember.
well, I didn't say it.
It's very simple. Tequila is made only in one place called Tequila, Jalisco.
Okay.
The town is called Tequila.
So
it's like champagne.
That's such bullshit.
But that's the interesting part that I'm gonna mention into this when we get into the in Tequila, Jalisco. Apparently, I'm not sure. It's just what they say. Is the only place with the agave, which is the plant they make it with, grows in blue color. Everywhere else grows in green color. So mezcal and tequila is the exact same thing. It just is green.
I thought they were different breeds of.
It's the exact same mezcal. It's the exact same. Sorry, agave or plant or cactus.
Yeah.
But in tequila, for some reason, grows blue.
Oh, see, I thought that I thought the blue agave was like a specific the difference between red cedar and yellow cedar.
It might be. I'm not sure. But the only thing I know is just grow. Like, this is the only thing that I always say, like, what's the special of the grape of champagne? And nobody says, it's not different than the other one. It's just like they call champagne because it's made on champagne. But so it's the same as tequila. It's like,
okay,
it is, but it's not.
I take back my call of bullshit. If the difference is that it's a different plant.
I mean, I don't know if it's a different plant. Being honest, it's the only thing I know is just like,
well,
it grows blue in that area, and it glows like the But what if I tell you that I'm pretty sure I can find a mezcal that is more expensive than tequila.
Sure.
Tequila is just like knowing. Everybody knows tequila. It's like the Mexican drink, like the Mexican alcohol, which, being honest, I don't think tequila is an alcohol. Well, it is an alcohol drink, but I don't think it should be qualified like this, because every time I drink tequila, I kind of get high. You don't just get drunk, you get high.
It's like having absinthe. That shit'll fuck you up.
That's what they're saying, but they fuck you up because it's like, well, the original is like 80% alcohol in that shit.
Well, yeah, but the wormwood, like, that messes with you too.
But like the absinthe is the one that, like, you put the spoon with the holes, and they put like the sugar cube, pour it into it, and then leave it on fire.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, Marilyn Manson drank that shit. Yeah, I was reading about it, and it's pretty weird what they say. Like, apparently the first sip is fine. Second sip, you start getting questions. And then the third sip, you just when you start seeing the fairy. Because it's a thing about the fairy with those things. Every time you look put an absinthe, like, it's gonna find like a fucking fairy in it, and the fairy is the one to bring you the answer of your questions. That's the fucking weird shit.
Well, right, but like the wormwood that's in absinthe, it makes you fucking see shit. Like, it's a psychotropic drug, so. Yeah.
Well,
you start hallucinating.
I want to ask Brett Trimble or Trimble. How do you call this?
Why is it?
Yeah,
Who's
thanks,
Mr.
thanks,
C?
Brett. Ian Cudmore.
Okay.
Brett Trimble's a really good friend of mine. He's just trolling the comments there a little bit, or patting my ego. One of the two, maybe both. Probably both.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for he's gone.
Oh.
Well, at least he left a message.
Yeah, it's a good guy.
Cider's down. Next cider.
See, we're still rinsing. It's all good.
Speaking of tequila, this glass is from a tequila. Do never buy this fucking tequila. Don't be stupid. Corralejo. They sell this in Victoria. It's a blue bottle about this, really tall. and they never ever had in the shelf. They always have like behind the counter
Yeah.
under the key. What if I tell you that there's a tequila called Hornitos?
Yeah. I've had Hornitos.
How much is that bottle? $40?
Sure.
About?
Yeah.
You know how much this bottle is in Mexico? About $20.
Yeah.
So it's not that far. Cortalejo costs $120 here.
Mm-hmm.
It cost me $5 in Mexico.
Yeah.
They sell you the bottle. It looks nice. It's beautiful. Yes, it looks nice, but it's not a good fucking tequila. That's all I'm gonna say.
And that glass will hold the entire bottle.
No, there's like 750 milliliters
Okay.
bottle, but
Okay.
but like the bottle looks nice. I gotta be honest, it's a very smooth tequila, very, very super smooth, but keep it in mind, tequila is not meant to be smooth. Tequila is meant to actually be harsh in your throat. That's what the real Mexican man used to drink. So the more traditional tequila is always going to be harsh in your throat, but it's going to have a beautiful flavor on it. Which is like, it's hard. Like some of the flavors on the good tequila is vanilla and a something like fruity shit. And then there's things I don't know how they come. I guess I don't even know how tequila is made, being honest. I know they cut the fucking shit, they put it in there, but I believe it's like a white yeast. I don't know if there are yeast to it. I got no clue how they fucking ferment the shit, and then obviously the still we can figure it out, but it has to be a fermentation to produce the alcohol.
Right. But maybe it's a wild yeast or a yeast that's already living in the agave.
It could be. And it might be the reason why the blue agave is better than the green, or is good for tequila because it's different yeast.
Maybe.
All right. This is the cider and mezcal. Beautiful label. This is blue agave. It's not green agave. That's why I wanted to mention it. You're going to put that green right on it. So you can call it tequila cider.
But it's not made in tequila.
This is something that...
or that's you calling bullshit now.
Well, this is funny. Once I started hanging out in Moon Underwater, like my first year there, like Clay, I barely knew him at the time. The owners, I barely knew him at the time. I heard them.
Yours up?
I heard a conversation about a.
Oh,
good
no, that's dregs.
Anyways, it was a conversation in the bar. I was sitting at the bar, and they were talking about like mezcals and tequilas and shit like that. And my Mexican side,
it jumped out. You had to
push me to say, like, you gotta say something. You can't let them get the grown information here. You gotta say something. So I start saying things, start talking. Turns out, Moon Underwater is gonna make a tequila. They told me like 4 years ago. And I said, like, how are you gonna make a tequila if you require a blue agave? Apparently, Clay has a blue agave in his house. How did he get it? Got no fucking clue. But apparently he has one fucking cactus in his house. It's blue agave. And he's waiting till that thing grows enough to make tequila off of it. I wouldn't doubt it. I would be very fucking surprised.
How?
But I asked him, like, are you sure it's blue? Like how that fucking works?
And how much product can you get from like one cactus?
I don't think much.
Like
they normally...
I think you could probably get like this much.
Yeah, like probably 1 bottle, 2 bottles. You've been in Tequila Jalisco, right? Because like that's where you got the tour, right?
Yeah.
So you see the size of those, like they call it pineapples. Like, that looks like a pineapple after they smash it. You see the size of those things and how many they fucking put onto it.
Right. So like how many are they going through to I mean, they're doing volume there, right?
Yes.
But
what if I tell you that there are tequilas there? I can find a bottle of tequila in Mexico Like the most expensive bottle of tequila I seen, it was $350 American in
Mhm.
Mexico.
That's significant.
And the price was in dollars. It wasn't in pesos. That's the reason for it. If the dollar go up, the bottle go up. Right? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's and even comes in like in a little wooden box with
Actually, they probably do it
actually a
so that
certificate
if
in there
if
the how long
if
that bottle has been and how many bottles they make of that and blah blah
oh
blah blah, blah.
yeah,
Like that's something special. But would you like to spend that much money? No.
I mean, I would probably enjoy that, right? But the thing is if you haven't developed your palate for a specific thing, the difference for me between drinking $100 bottle of tequila and a $300 bottle of tequila is not $200, right? Like I'm gonna go, oh, that's nice, and the guy giving it to me is gonna be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like that's really good. And I'm gonna be like, yeah, sure, I'll have another one. Like,
Yeah, as that's my thing with whiskey. I don't like hard alcohol, so somebody gave me a bottle of Glenmorangie, which thank you so much, Christian, for that bottle. Um, you know how long it took me, like, last me that bottle?
no,
I drank a quarter of the bottle in about 3 years, and then my dad came from Mexico and finished the fucking bottle.
sure,
It
yeah.
was my dad said like, "You're an idiot. You don't even know what like how nice this
Well,
thing is." Like,
that's a nice whiskey.
I believe you, but it's just like not my thing.
This is really interesting.
It is.
It's like a little bit smoky.
And I can feel that the mezcal in there
Yeah.
a little bit. It almost feels like I'm drinking something with. Well, obviously, I'm drinking something with mezcal, but like what I meant is like not cider. Like you're drinking something that has mezcal on it that got that little flavor, but very very thin on the end, which I
Yeah.
like it. I wouldn't like it. It would be overpowered because like this is way too much fucking mezcal.
Yeah. There's a bit of it. It is not overpowering. The cider is mostly in on top, and that's in on the background. It's complicated. Again, like I say, my palate is not well developed for ciders. So I don't have the verbiage for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. No, I'm with you. Like I'm the same way. Like
this is really neat though.
But I feel that the carbonation in this one is
carbonation-
way less than the last one.
Carbonation on this is way less than it was before on the last one. Like the other one, even when I was down to 3/4 of the way down the glass, you could still see
Bubbles coming from the bottom.
up. And this one, not so much. The other one, we got a little bit of foam on top just before it settled down. This didn't have that.
Also, when we poured this one, you can actually hear the carbonation, like just like when you pour a soda.
Mm-hmm. But
also, do you have an aftertaste? What can I call this? Almost like it kind of tastes like sulfate on the very, very end. I mean, I just burp a little bit and I got that kind of flavor up.
Maybe
I'm wrong.
I'm not really. What really jumps out at me is like kind of in the middle, like because you kind of get the apples, and then you get the mezcal on the finish, but in between there, like I get like a little bit of smokiness or something.
Yeah.
How would you describe that?
I don't know. It's I got the same thing. Especially like when you burp a little bit, like you can kind of like bring this kind of like a things up again, and in the aftertaste tastes like I had that flavor in my cider.
Yeah.
And I was impressed with this one because it didn't. That's what I was like, super impressed. So I don't know. It has to be something about like fermentation time or fermentation temperature. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to tell. So many things could happen during fermentation that it's hard to figure it out.
And the more new long chain sugars and proteins and things like that are in there, the more option for it to go weird ways.
I guess before we open this, I need to go and get a cork.
Oh, is it? It's corked probably too, eh?
I'm pretty sure it's cork.
We might need a knife too. Oh, hold on.
Oh, you got your mini knife?
I've got my pocket knife with me.
You think that thing is legal, man?
Not all. I'm living on the wild side.
It's funny, like you can even get into a plane with that little tiny fucking knife.
Oh, yeah, they would take that shit away from you right away. It is actually sharp, so, but there we go. That's what we're looking for. Yeah, we need a cork. True.
I'll go and get one. I'll be right back. You talk to them.
Okay. You know, this is delicious. I really wish we had a lot more really good ciders in town. Like we had our friend from New Zealand there on the last podcast, and he was talking about things. And I've heard really good stories about the cider scene, if you will, that they've got down there in New Zealand. A buddy of mine was down there. He was on a sale, stopped in, and like every pub you went to would have a half dozen, 3 or 4 different ciders that would all have, you know, like this one's sweet and this one's dry and this one's wild fermented and this one's got a little bit of lacto in there, and like lactobacillus rather than lactose. But you know, like there's some really neat ciders, some really good ciders that people can put out, and it doesn't have to be just Okanagan's cider, like sugar bombs, like bitch pop, if you will. There's some really exciting things that you can do with it, and while our craft beer scene is really good, it's a shame that we don't have like really tasty ciders out there. Hey, Fernando's back.
We got the thing to get the cork out the fuck out of there.
Yeah. I was just telling the guys that I really wish we had a better craft cider scene. Like there's not really a whole much of it. There's Marydale cider up in Mill Bay kind of thing.
They recommend me to go to Sea Cider.
Oh yeah?
They said it's amazing.
Okay.
So I really want to go. I think I might go and make a video for my Spanish channel, even if it's like focusing onto beer.
Mm-hmm.
I think cider kind of go hand to hand. Only thing I don't think it go hand to hand is meat. I got an issue with meat.
What's wrong with mead?
I don't know. I got an issue with it.
Like, I've done a couple of really good meads.
I bet they're good, but like I guess the reason why I have the issue with meat is because there's so many people in Mexico that they're called themselves brewers, and all they do is meat.
Okay, well, I mean, like, do you want to them to use a different word? Like, do you get upset if a wine brewer calls themselves a brewer instead of a vinter?
Yes.
Okay.
They're
I
not
mean-
brewing. Are they brewing?
Not
I
really,
guess
no.
when you make a coffee, you're brewing, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what a coffee, I call
Me
it
and
an
Mr.
infusion.
Coffee.
You make an infusion. That's all you do, like tea. I guess that's what you do with beer. Anyways, who cares?
But also I add hops.
No. No, I don't have any problem with like the meat, guys. It's just like I find out in Spanish, it's like too much into the fucking Viking show.
Like the Kvike?
No, Viking show. The Vikings
Yeah.
show that they all want to be fucking meats and they all talk like fucking like they're
Oh.
Vikings and blah 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 blah.
Oh,
You
I
know,
see.
Vikings. That's the one that developed the Kvike. So why don't you make beer with Kvike and you said that you're Viking?
Sure. My grandfather was Swedish, so really I should be using Kvike then. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. No, I don't know.
I haven't bothered because I have temperature control. Oh, maybe that's the solution with our other brewery. Me and my brew buddy have a brewery at his house, and then there's also the brewery at my house. And we don't have temperature control with the second system. So maybe Kvike is
The solution.
Yeah.
If you can get the thing I see with like especially with Kvike Boss, everything I read or everything experience that I got with another Mexican brewers that use Kvike. Trust me, I got tons of friends in Mexico who use Kvike for a reason. It's hot down there.
Mhm.
So what I heard, Kvike works fine if it's near 40,
Right.
but it doesn't work fine if it's in the 20s.
Hmm.
So it's very extreme. So you gotta go super fucking hot. When I do my Kvikes, it's in a hot day with 3 or 4 brew belts into the fermenter.
That blows me
To
away,
get like
man.
to go like high. The last Kvike I did, I fermented 38, and it's because I use as an advantage that those 2 weeks that we had super hot in here.
Oh, it was crazy.
Yeah,
hot.
I when I
Yeah.
get those fucking weeks like Kvike and put fucking belts in, I won't, even though that it was 30 something, it has 3 fucking belts into the kettle to actually keep
That's
it
crazy.
like keep it the temperature like down, like
I mean,
really, really high.
There's so much body heat coming off that though too, because
True.
it moves fast.
But I got a thermometer there.
Yeah.
I was getting into 38, close to 40. Never actually hit the 40.
Wow.
Even with the activity,
all
with
that.
all the energy that is producing the yeast and the belts in there and the hot of the days,
Yeah.
still hard to get the temperature.
Wow.
Matt from 4 Mile,
Mhm.
he actually put a heater next to the fermenter.
Well, I mean, that's how they ended up developing these yeasts.
Yes.
Like
Put
they-
flames on the next to it, like
Well, they used to, like, you would have these houses, and it's minus 40, minus 50 outside, and so their fermenter would be, especially probably because like on your brew day, you're doing it over the wood stove, right?
Mhm.
You're doing it over the fire, and then you move it into the fermenter, and you don't want to drag the fermenter to the far side of the fucking house, right? So it stays there, and it's 5 feet away from the
fire.
and the fire's going all the time, and it's super hot next to the fire, and it's cold in the corners. So and because that averages out over time, right? And insulation was not good.
And another thing that I need to do an experiment, I'm not sure about it, but I've been told that cheese works better dry than liquid because it's meant to be dry.
Yeah. Well, because they used to, like, basically you would take your mash paddle and like run it through the yeast slurry or sticks or whatever, and then you dry it, and then you basically dry it out, and you let it hang, and then for the next batch you run it through there, rub all the yeast off of it, and then let it ferment.
I only use Kvike Voss in liquid by Escarment because I got that thing that like liquid yeast, but I need to do the experiment. It turns out pretty good, but I need to do the experiment with the dry one, and I've been told, I read that yeast is meant to be dry. Like It's better to use dry than liquid.
I haven't done any fight yet, but I would like to. Excuse me.
And
Mezcal burps.
And you're saying you don't have carbonation in this?
Well, okay. It is much more still than I expected. How's that? I'm not saying it's not carbonated. It's just less. Anyway, I would like to do a kvike and do the traditional like save the yeast for later kind of thing, and see what that does. See how well it runs after several generations that way.
Another thing I heard about like kvikes is there were yeast that they were developing by mixing back then. For example, people will have their own yeast to use for their bread, for example.
Yeah.
And then when, let's see, you have a daughter and your daughter start dating someone and they get married, that person brings some of the yeast from the family that they got and it mixes it with it. And it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes and end up having the kvikes. This is some of the stories that I read. Could be wrong, could be right. I would like to be right because it's fucking it's kind of interesting, a nice story, but like
there's a whole bunch of different stories about that. Have you read Lars' blog at all?
No.
Okay, so there's a guy, presumably his name is Lars, right? And he spent like several years traveling through Scandinavia, and he's like recording stories about yeast and what the history is and stuff, and isolating different strains and all that kind of stuff. Like really, he is where kvike started hitting the news about, right? Like nobody knew anything about this in North America and the rest of Europe. Like nobody knew any of this until this guy started blogging about it. So if you're interested, go to larsblog.com, I think is what it is. If you type Lars blog into a search bar, Google,
Yahoo,
Yahoo, whatever other one you're interested in,
Bluefish or whatever. Like, I don't even know how many are they, or they used to. I don't think Yahoo exists anymore.
Oh, it does.
It does?
It's still out there. Yeah. I imagine.
I remember when Yahoo.
My grandmother is still using the Yahoo search bar. Hi, Nana. How are you?
You know what? I think Yahoo was the first one. Like, it was the popular before Google.
Simpatico, maybe. There was a few there.
In Mexico was Yahoo. Everybody was at Yahoo. But then Google come around and took over everything.
Yeah, my first email address was yahoo@hotmail.com.
That doesn't make any sense, but okay.
Well, yeah, because I was like, fuck it, it's confusing.
It is confusing because Yahoo has their own platform.
Right, but that's why I did it. I first tried to do hotmail@yahoo.com, but that didn't work, so I did the other one.
Yeah, I used to have a Hotmail account. I think I still have it. Never open it.
I don't think these things really get deleted, but good luck trying to recover your password on it.
Yeah. And this is the whole thing what I use Google, because all the password is the same.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary though.
And I can access
either fuck you one account or fuck you all of them.
And I can access my other Google account through my first Google account. So long as that one doesn't get messed up. Okay, so this is a port, and I think I know even less about port than I know about, I know less about wine than I know about cider, but it's a chocolate raspberry port, and it looks dark and kind of delicious.
Oh. All I can say, I don't even know what a port is.
Look, it's a red wine.
I don't drink wine. That's why.
Let's rinse our glasses. we're using entirely the wrong glassware for this. So
And this is all about the show.
if you're a wine nerd, like you're probably going to be upset with this. So
You mean like Craig? The guy that told us to rinse the glasses?
I don't know. Is Craig?
His name is Craig. That's why I say.
Is he a wine nerd?
No, it's a whiner. It just telling us,
that's related. That's related. Yeah, it's dark.
It's darker than a red wine.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it a port. Like,
whoa! All I can smell is alcohol.
Oh, there's alcohol there. There's raspberry there. There's a hint of chocolate. I mean, those are things that you would expect in a raspberry chocolate beer wine.
You know, it smell like, you know, those chocolate that had wine, like the alcohol in it.
Yeah,
that's how it smells.
It smells like
those like chocolate that has a fucking cherry inside, and the whole liquid in there is just fucking alcohol. it just like smell like that.
It smells exactly like that. And
how would you call those things?
I don't eat chocolate. I don't know what to tell you. I would describe it exactly the way that you did.
Okay, I'm right. Can you tell that to my wife that I'm right? I've never been right with her.
No, because if I tell your wife that you were right, she'll tell me that I'm wrong, and then I come out worse.
That makes sense. A little too sweet for me.
So the nose is like it's exactly like those candies, which I presume is exactly what they wanted.
You can tell it's high in alcohol. Look how it like sticks into the side. Like
yeah, there's quite some legs on it. You guys probably can't see that through here because
yeah, but you can see the alcohol just like dripping in the side.
And yeah, so there's quite a bit of alcohol in there.
It doesn't say how much, huh?
It doesn't say. What it says is 375 milliliters, which is not useful as far as this is concerned.
Just to start, is wine, so we know for sure it's over 12%.
Right. So, yeah. Oh wow,
it's a little too sweet for me.
It's kind of sweet. There's tons of chocolate there.
It's like
there's tons of that raspberry there. Like there's almost like a syrupy flavor. So I wonder if that is an extract raspberry rather than a.
You know what? The aftertaste is way more close to the chocolate I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, it tastes just like those chocolates.
Yeah.
I don't know what those are called.
I want to say something, buddy. I don't know who you are, and hopefully you watch this. Don't be disrespect. Like don't mean to be. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I might not drink the whole thing. It's a little too hard in alcohol for me. Like I don't drink hard alcohol. 6% beers, I think, is enough for me. But wow, it's not bad. Like it's something I would have a shot, and that's it. Being honest with you, but and I hope it's not disrespecting you. Like I try not to be disrespectful. I really like it. I think it's good. It's just I can't drink much of it.
It is a little like it's pretty intense in its flavors, which like as I'm drinking, like I'm sure that is the intent.
Mm-hmm. No, I bet it is. It's just I don't know what the port is, right? Like it might be just bag on. It's just like I don't know.
I know, like I think that it is bang on for that, but wow, like
yeah, like it's smelling it. It's almost smell like hard alcohol.
Ports might be the wine that are like fortified, like where they add alcohol to it.
Let's Google it.
Yeah.
Well, it's Portuguese.
Yeah, it's a fortified wine. Flavor profile is medium.
This is typically sweet red wine, often served with dessert. I can see why.
Yeah.
Also comes in dry, semi-dry.
Yeah. So from our admittedly ignorant palates and descriptions here, it sounds like it's very much in line with what it's supposed to be.
What I read is basically what this is.
Mm-hmm.
But do I like that? No offense, buddy. It's not the style. It's just don't like hard alcohol.
It's not. It's definitely not what I'm used to. And mostly that's because I haven't developed my wine palate or whatever. Like I like lots of hard liquors. I really enjoy gins and whiskeys and rums. And this is super cool, but I don't know how to speak to it.
Me neither. As a matter of fact, don't get offended, buddy. I'm not gonna drink it because, like I said, it's not what I will drink. It's nice to have a little taste. It tastes really good. I'm gonna dump it because we gotta keep going with the next beers. But
maybe just grab us 2 more glasses, and we can finish those off later.
That's a good point. I'll be right back.
I just don't want to pound that.
Yeah, me neither. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, this is really neat. Like, and also the fact this port, I should say, ended up getting added into the Brewvik exchange. Like one of the guys who was participating, somebody just dropped it off along with, and like didn't get anything extra in exchange for it. He just was like, here's one for everybody that's participating. Whether that was I want to clear it out of my basement, or I did this and I like it and I want everybody to taste it, because like I know that's one of the big reasons why I brew and I share my brews. So I can't speak to that, but wow, like thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that. I wish we were aficionados of wines and ports so that we could give a review that does justice to that. Yeah. Thank you, buddy. And then
next one is the beer we brewed together.
Yeah. So this last one we're going to do here is not a beer from the Brewvik Advent calendar. This is a beer that Fernando and I brewed at his house. Did you do a post of this on the Clandestino channel, or
it haven't been? Actually, it is. It's I just posted the video in Clandestino. The beer, the whole process, the brew. This is the beer. We brewed it like 2 weeks ago, 2 Sundays ago.
Yeah. Yeah, like it'll be 2 weeks in 2 days.
Nope, that would be 3 weeks. No, 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like 12 days ago we did it, just under 2 weeks.
Let's see. We got good carbonation. That sounds good.
Well, I mean, it was filled from the keg. So, like, if that was bottle conditioned, I would
be afraid.
Yeah, I would be like, oh, our carbonation is not what we're hoping for. And what it refresh the viewers? What did we brew?
What it is a pale ale. It's a pale ale about 5.2%, which I think is bang on the style to me. 5% is perfect for a pale ale. Um, we use this is before he drink it. I'm gonna say it. I went way too high in IBUs. It's 50 IBUs for a pale ale. I think it's a little higher.
I think there's nothing wrong with that.
I knew that because you and I were fucking like we like bitter beers, but
Yeah.
for this style, it is off.
It's high for a pale ale, but we're in the West Coast, so it's okay.
So I'm intent to get Citra Pale Ale. What it means with Citra Pale Ale, I normally use Warrior for bitterness because high alpha acid, and I use Citra and Citra to close it. Citra for flavor, Citra for aroma. This is the beer that didn't have enough Citra, so I use Asaka instead.
Right.
For flavor, and close it instead, like I supposed to close it with 65 grams of Citra, and I used whatever was left, which was 87.
Okay, yeah.
In a hop stand, 80 Celsius when I throw it in. Let's see what happened. See what you like. Cheers.
Good bitterness. I like that. You didn't bother with gelatin?
I did put gelatin, but it's only been like 4 days in the keg.
Oh, okay.
You
don't do that before you keg?
No, I do it on the keg.
Oh, I guess you would have to. That's interesting.
It's something grainy on it.
I thought that was your Warrior.
Or it could be the Warrior that is too much fucking Warrior.
Because there is a little bit of flavor there with that I don't recognize. There's a little bit of the citrus is a little lighter.
It is lighter.
I'm not really picking up as much of the Izaka as I would like to.
Nope. Something I'm disappointed to, actually, being honest.
But I think that because there was a fairly big charge of Warrior at the beginning, right?
Yeah, I was 100 grams Warrior at 12.4.
Because you were just finishing that thing of it or something, right? You ended up tossing in a little extra. Is that
no? When I thought the little extra was just for aroma. It was just the Citra. But I should have done 40 IBUs instead of 50, maybe 45, being like super exaggerated.
Yeah.
And I think that's unbalanced a bit. Like if it would have been more alcohol, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's nice.
Bertan yeast.
It's a good beer. It's not quite balanced.
Oh no, it's not balanced at all.
And like you say, raise the alcohol or lower the IBUs a little bit, or do a little bit more of a mid charge, right? Like because you did like 60 and 10 and 0 or something, right?
The 60, 20 and 0, yeah.
Right. So if there was something in the 30 or 40 range, and it wouldn't even have been needed to be a big shot of it, I think that would have rounded out the profile there. Because I find, especially if you're doing...
Is that our friend Matt? The plumber?
Yeah. That's Matt. Hi, Matt. Hey, look, you're on YouTube. You're famous.
You're the only person watching us.
Thanks.
By the way, you should come to the podcast one day.
I brought that up to him, and he was like, I would have to talk about that.
But yeah, I'm happy with the result. I mean, I'm not like, it's not something that I would put into a competition or bring into a brewer, like professional brewer, to try to get into their brewery and make a match with them.
No, but
being honest,
I think this is something that you could really start with to develop something very nice because there's really strong like orange flavors there that like it tastes more like orange than
Grapefruit.
right, but it tastes more like orange than Citra ever normally does.
Yes.
Right?
True.
It tastes more like orange than there's a I'm not sure which brewery it is, but there's a brewery that does an orange pale ale and like it just tastes like extract. Much like the 4 Miles
Grapefruit.
tangerine
Yeah, the
just
grapefruit or
tastes
tangerine. Yeah.
like it tastes like extract tangerine
It
rather
takes
than
like there's somebody put like tang on it.
but this tastes like real orange. Like this tastes like you're throwing orange peels in there. And not in a bad way, right? Like I'm not using that derogatorily. Like it's got like an orange
It does actually. Never seen it actually. Like never feel it. Never actually pay attention to that until you mention it.
and that's probably a combination of the Azaka and the Citra, just the way it was. Do you remember what the ratio of that was? It was almost 50-50.
65 and 87.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's supposed to be 65 and 65.
yeah.
And basically I throw whatever was left on the Citra in the end. So it ended
Right.
up to be 87. But like
But the two of those have combined to basically give you an orange flavor instead of tropical fruit and just like
basically
just like bare bones citrus.
Asaka kind of bring you to tropical, Citra bring you to like citrus, and I think it's just like they blend together.
Right, they're blending together because it doesn't really taste like citra either.
Nope.
But it tastes like orange, like orange peel, not just like eating a piece, but like as you tear through the peel of a nice thick fresh orange, which I think is awesome. Like I'm gonna steal that for a beer. I gotta tell you.
Go ahead, buddy.
I've always got both Citra and Azaka on hand because they're delicious.
They're delicious hops, yeah.
So like I think that's really nice. I think if you did that, and like you say, if you dialed it back to like 40 IBU.
Yeah, that's my point.
But kept the Azaka and the Citra exactly the same.
Yeah, I think that extra we taste is that extra bitterness that is not supposed to be there.
I'll bet you if you did that, people would be like, "Holy shit, this is amazing."
I guess we have to do it.
We're
gonna do another batch.
You can even drop back as far as 35 if you wanted, but I think about. I mean, we're from the West Coast. I say 40.
Yeah, we'll go for 42. My
42. Yeah, you could do 42.
I went for my IPA that I just transferred into Cowboys today is 55 IBUs. That's what I do with my IPAs, like just 55. Try to keep the flavors of the. Sometimes I think the IPAs in this area turn to be too bitter, then start
too much of
cover
a hop bomb.
of the flavor of the hop. You know what I mean? Like the flavor you distinguish like orange in this one. Fat Talk, all I can distinguish is bitter. It's delicious beer.
Yeah, well, okay, sure. And so long as you're yeah.
It's delicious beer, but like for example, like have you tried I think it's called a Jolly Hopper from or Jelly Hopper from Spinnakers?
No.
It's 100 IBUs.
Oh,
but it's an Imperial IPA. The alcohol is like fucking 10, like to balance it, of course. But it's still too damn freaking hot.
Unpopular opinion.
My thing is,
I don't hit up Spinnaker's beers very often.
Me neither. It's just like when I see that bottle, they say
but
like
there was-
100 IBUs. It kind of
But there was one from
make me wonder, right?
There's one I used to always pick up if I saw it at the store. I was from House Sound, and it was
House Sound makes delicious fucking beer.
House Sound makes delicious beer, and House Sound and Spinnakers are historically very related.
Really? I didn't know.
Yeah,
that.
like the guys that started Spinnakers are also the guys that started House Sound, or half the guys.
Okay.
Like I'm not sure which one they started first.
House Sound is Vancouver, right?
Yeah. But like there's two guys that were really like the thing, right? And they basically they started the one place and they got it going. And then the other guy left and went to Vancouver and started House Sound.
Okay.
At least that's the story I heard.
One of the things I like from House Sound, for example, their bottles. I think it's amazing that they have like a swing caps, 1 fucking liter bottles.
The 1 liter, awesome. 1 liter swing top, although we measured it. And they're 1 liter to the cap.
Yeah, to the cap, yeah.
Right. And they say they're 1 liter and they're full to here. Right. So they're saving themselves like 30 milliliters on every beer.
Fuckers.
Anyway, so what was I saying?
I said, Matt, I was listening while driving.
Oh, there we go.
We're glad that you get safe home.
Yeah. So House Sound had a beer that they, and I don't know if they still put it out because I basically don't go to the liquor store anymore because.
You're talking about the grapefruit IPA?
No, although their Super Jupiter,
delicious.
Their Super Jupiter,
yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Fucking excellent, and if I see that again, I buy it. But Total Eclipse of the Hop,
I think I have that one too.
Was 120 IBUs.
I think I have it, and it wasn't that fucking bitter.
It wasn't that bitter, but I loved. Like it was probably actually like it tasted to me like 90 or 95 IBU. Which is getting pretty close to your ability to even judge bitterness, right? Like they say the human palate can the average human palate can interpret bitterness from about like 100 from about 90 to 110 depending on the individual. So it's pretty close to maxing out your ability to taste bitter. And I thought that was awesome, but the problem with it is because it's so bitter, they do it and it would end up sitting on the shelf for a long time at a lot of stores. And so it runs into shelf stability and you start getting that. I don't know if you guys interpret it the same way as me, but I find when bitterness has gotten cold side oxidized, it turns into like a sickly sweet, like almost the same flavor that you get with a barley wine.
Okay.
Right? Like that syrupy kind of whatever flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So because it ends up sitting on a shelf for a long time or non-refrigerated for a bunch of time, a lot of times that beer would end up with that sweetness instead of the bitterness. Well, and that sucks because it's like the opposite of what you want.
Oh, well, we got to keep in mind one little thing. If you want beer to stay in the shelf for a long time, do a dark beer. It will do better with time.
Well,
but
sure.
Don't do an IPA because your hop is going to fade. So it's almost like you have to calculate, am I going to sell this beer in 6 months or in 3 months to see how much hop I'm going to put into it? Because it's going to fade.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is I guess you've got to do smaller batches, maybe.
This is one thing. I got a beer as a present from a friend of mine. Thanks, Ross, for that beer. It was an IPA. You're supposed to age for 5 years. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Fuller is the brand. They
that
make
sounds
they make
familiar.
beer in a little boxes, almost like a single malt bottles
Yeah.
of whiskey.
Um,
And it's like, okay, I get your stout, I get the porter, but don't make an IPA and tell me that I have to age it for 5 years. I know
mean-
for a fact that fucking hop is gonna be fade. I tried 1.5 years old. It was no hop whatsoever.
right. But what I think at that point they're looking for is not for the hops to be there, but for the hops to have converted into other things.
But
Right?
don't call it IPA.
Well, because it was an IPA when they put it in, and because every time you write IPA on a thing, it sells off right away.
Oh, I get that.
Marketing. Oh, there you go. We'll call it an IPA, a NEPA.
Oh, I get that part.
It's a NEPA. We're gonna call it an IPA, and we'll sell 4 times as much as we should.
BJCP doesn't allow to call it NEPA anymore.
That's
it's
what I'm
hazy
saying.
IPAs.
It's fucking bullshit.
It's
Because
hazy IPAs.
A NEPA is not an IPA. It's a totally different style.
It's a fucking like they should call it like that's New England or Northeast, whatever you want to fucking call it.
Sure.
Is still the same fucking place?
Sure, but
Northeast Pale Ale. That's how you should fucking call it. And not even.
right. And I think the argument was, well, it's not just the Northeast that's doing it, but they're the ones that did it first. So either call it that NEPA or the Northeast. Like, I thought the NEPA was a good name for it because you could call it a NEPA instead of any IPA, right? And it made a distinction. Like, you understood that this is not an IPA, but a whole bunch of breweries were just putting it in a bottle and they label it IPA, and then you buy it and you expect something this color and you end up with something that's like, well, not that color, but that cloudy, right?
Yeah, you get something like an orange juice. Orange juice.
Sorry, this wine is not cloudy, it's just dark as fuck, but it limits the light as much as that, right?
You know,
and that's bullshit.
You know what happened when I hear for first time New England IPA?
Okay.
What do you think I thought that would be in the beer? Clam chowder. It's not what New England is known for.
Well, I mean, there's New
And
England, and there's
I
Boston
watch Family Guy all the
chowders.
time. They'd always call it fucking clam chowder, like
Chowder.
chowder.
Say it. Say it, Frenchie. Chowder.
Say it right, or don't say it at all. Yeah, like it's the first time I hear it. They're like, "What's special of New England? Family Guy, the Patriots."
The cork for I just noticed for this port has a name for the
And a number, so we can call him. We should call him and say, "What the fuck is in your thing?"
I think that's maybe a U brew, or a brew on premises. The Thirsty Vinter. I don't think that's like a dude.
Cut mate clams.
But you notice it says Vinter and not brewer. Yeah, it's a winemaking supply store. So that's the guy that sells wine supplies in Santa.
It might be the guy that gives us the bottle.
It might be the guy that gave us the bottle. It might be
Someone that go and get it done there.
Guys that buy wine bottle caps from him. And I mean, that's a really smart way to do your
advertising.
Right. Like, because where did we go last time?
I gotta be honest.
We went this place.
And I gotta be honest. The way the thing, like the cap and the little plastic thing on top of it that they like heat up to shrink, it was done.
It's very professional.
Very well
like
done.
That's a.
It looks like a really good, like a wine bottle.
Well done bottle that way.
Well, we're 1 hour and a half. We finished to everything. Should we keep going, or
I mean,
we're gonna finish this here, but like we don't
yeah,
have to be
yeah,
alive.
I want to finish drinking these beers with you, but we've got. It looks like only Matt's.
I think like Matt is watching, so Matt, you better get into the podcast.
Yeah, Matt, if you want to hang out, stop by Fernando's place and we'll have a beer.
Yeah, come over.
But I think that's probably good for us tonight.
Yeah, normally we do 1 hour. We 1 hour 40 minutes almost.
Okay.
So let's cut it off. And well, guys, thank you so much for watching. This podcast is going to be uploaded onto Clandestino Brewing YouTube channel. You can watch it later, and we really want you guys to be in the show. Make questions, make this a little bit more dynamic would be the word. Have like, have a little bit more like dynamic to it. Like it's like talking, making everything. You have to tell me when ahead of time. Okay, buddy. Well, I guess that's it. And we'll see you maybe next week.
Sure, we can do something next week. I've got my tenant downstairs gave me a NEPA from Dildo Brewing. So I could bring that by and we can taste that and taste some other things.
Bring it over. Another thing I want to do, I want to buy a Moon Underwater have a case of 4 beers. They're special beers. Yeah. I would like to buy that one to taste it here, which is they're most of them sours.
Oh,
no surprise for Moon Underwater, right?
Okay, fine.
All right, guys. I guess we're done. We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, thanks for coming by, guys. We really appreciate it. Come back next time. Submit, subscribe, and like.
See ya.